Hey everybody, welcome to day 28 of the 40-day fast for marriage and families. I'm praying that everything may not be going the way that you want it to go, but I want to always encourage you, do not stop, do not quit, do not give up, do not lose the fire, do not lose the passion, do not lose your focus, okay? There is still a promise, and as long as the promise exists, there's hope and there's healing, and that promise shall come to pass. Not one single word that God has spoken over your life, spoken into your life, not one single word of that is going to fall to the ground. It's not going to fall to the ground and not produce what it was sent out to do. Guys, continue to send in your prayer requests, your praise reports, your testimonies, your encouragement. We appreciate all of that. We're praying for you. We're celebrating with you. There is no such thing as a victory that is too small. Progress is being made in places that you can't even see. So do not give up. Whatever you do, do not give up. This is not the season for giving up. This is not the time for giving up. Do not quit. Do not stop. Keep pressing forward. And as always, if you find yourself stuck in a place, unstuck yourself. You actually have that much power. You have the power to unstuck yourself. And like we talked about earlier, why do you have the power to unstuck yourself? You have the power to unstuck yourself because it's already been given to you. It's already been done. So you are unstuck. All you have to do is realize it, get up from where you are, keep walking forward. Guys, we're on day 28, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this process, for this journey. Listen, and I hope that the changes that that I am seeing in my own life concerning my own heart. Yeah, see, this is a heart change, and I thank God for that. It's a heart change. It's a heart change, and I thank God for that. And I believe that the same thing is happening in your heart, and it will continue to happen as long as you stay put, as long as you stay focused, stay put. That change will continue to happen even after the 40 days are over. So keep that in mind, guys. Day 28. And so for day 28, what we're going to talk about is casting your cares. Casting your cares. Psalm 55:22 says, pile your troubles on God's shoulders. He'll carry your load. He'll help you out. He'll never let good people topple into ruins. Listen, sometimes as we're going through not just this process, but any process in our lives, it's easy to believe that, this is something that I have to carry out myself, that I have to carry the burden of whatever it is. Whether that's the burden of your marriage, the burden of your family, things may not be going the way that you want them to go. And so sometimes it can feel like there's an extra load that we're carrying. And oftentimes we are carrying an extra load. But here is what God is telling us. No matter where you are in this process, no matter where your marriage is at in this process, no matter where your family is at in this process, God is saying, cast every single care, every single worry, every anxiety, every doubt, every fear, everything that concerns you. He says, cast it upon him. Sometimes we're not able to run the journey that we have been called to run because of the fact that we have taken on stuff that we weren't even designed to carry. Do you know that we weren't designed to carry burdens? We weren't designed to carry our own burdens, and we were not designed to carry the burdens of others. Whenever we find ourselves carrying burdens, it slows us down. It slows us down. It clouds our vision. It even stops the process and the progress of hope and healing. It actually stops that process. It hinders that process. And God does not desire that. Like he is the burden bearer. And he came to carry that burden for us. But this is the thing that we have to do. And sometimes it's really hard to do it. We have to learn to cast every single care on God. And when we cast our cares, when we cast our anxieties, there may be something in our marriage, there may be something in our lives, that we have been carrying, that we have been dealing with, and it's heavy. It's heavy, and yes, it's going to weigh you down. It's going to hinder the way that you're running this race. It's going to hinder all of the great things, all of the exceedingly abundantly above all things. It's going to hinder that process because you're doing life and you're carrying a load that was not even designed for you to carry. And so we have to learn to release those things to God. We have to learn to release it to him. The word of God says, be ye anxious about nothing. Don't worry about anything. Don't carry around undue burdens. Be ye anxious for nothing, but in all things, through prayer and supplications, make your requests made known unto God. Now, that's not just for the stuff that you want. That's for everything. Cast everything on God. Why? Because worry stops you. Worry hinders you. When you allow the cares and the concerns of life to grow and fester, they stop the progress of growth in your life, just like weeds stop the growth of a vegetable plant that's growing in the garden. So we've got to learn to really cast our cares on God. And how do we cast our cares on God? It seems like an easy process, and it is an easy process. It's as simply as saying, God, here is what I'm dealing with. Here is what I'm carrying. Your shoulders are so much bigger than mine. Your strength is so much stronger than mine. I'm giving this to you. And now I expect you to do what only you can do with it. And here's the thing, God. I'm not getting it back. I'm not picking it back up. No, I'm giving it to you, and I'm not picking it back up. Now, not picking it back up means we're not going to go back and meddle in it. God, how you doing with this? Checking up on God to see what progress he's making. You all right with that? No, it means I trust you enough that I can give you whatever it is that concerns me, and you will take care of it. I can give you whatever it is that concerns me, and you will take care of it. If you're going to run the race that God has designed and destined for you to run, that race of peace and joy and love in your marriage, that the kind of marriage that God has created for you to be the kind of husband that God has created you to be the kind of wife that God has created you to be. You're going to have to learn to shed the extra weight. You're going to have to learn to shed the extra load. And when you shed that extra load, place it in God's hand and don't worry about it. Place it in God's hand and don't worry about it. Oftentimes we give things to God in the next minute, especially if in our eyes we don't see change happening as quickly as we want it to happen, or we don't see the situation getting better or any progress being made in the situation after we've given it to God. Most of the times we fire God. We fire God. We literally tell God, you're fired. Give me back what I gave you so I can take this load by myself. That's what we do. We literally fire God. God says, hire me to take your load. And because of the fact that sometimes we don't understand it's not just that we don't understand what God is doing. A lot of times we do not see what he's doing. And sometimes we become uneasy when we don't see what he's doing, plus we don't understand what he's doing. We become uneasy and we go into his office. And sometimes we don't even knock on the door. We just open the door and say, God, you fired. No, you're fired. Give me back what I gave you and I'll take care of it myself. I'll handle it myself. Sometimes we have this mentality of, if it has to be done and I want it to be done right, then I need to do it myself. No. That is the quickest way to run yourself in the hole. That's the quickest way to slow down everything that's happening in your life. By you becoming the workhorse, per se. By you becoming the mule and carrying the load, the weight that your body was not even built. Like, do you understand that? Like, our bodies weren't even built to carry load. We were not built that way. God did not build us that way. He built us to cast everything at his feet. And listen, casting our cares, our worries, whatever burden, whatever pressures, casting those things at the feet of God, at the feet of Jesus, that is not a sign of weakness. That frees you up to do the things that he has called you to do. That frees you up. Do you know that sometimes sometimes we're not able to even forgive the way that we ought to forgive because of the burdens that we carry? Sometimes we never move to that place of repentance because of the burden that we carry. And some burdens come with guilt, come with shame, come with condemnation. Sometimes it's hard to say I'm sorry because of the burden that we carry. And then even sometimes when people say I forgive you, it's hard for us to forgive ourselves because of the burden that we carry, because of the guilt, because of the shame, because of the I messed up. I said I wasn't going to do it again. I messed up. Whatever it is, whatever burden it is, financial burdens, emotional burdens, whatever burden it is, God says, bring everything to me. Bring it all to me. And listen, here's the thing about casting our care. Here's something else rather about casting our cares. Do you know that God does not care how you cast? He doesn't care how you cast. So you don't have to be dressed up in a suit and tie and, look all fly and have everything put together. God says, no, I don't care how you get it to me. Just get it to me. I don't care if you get it to me, if you bring it to me through tears. I don't care how you bring it to me. Listen, you can even bring it to God mad as all get up. God says, I don't care about that, but I need you to release it to me. Because if you don't release it, then you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up not to live the life that I've designed for you. You're setting yourself up not to be the man or the woman of God that I've called you to be. God says you've got to get rid of it. And when you get rid of it, place it at my feet. Place it at my feet. Every single care. Every care. If you're worried about your children, you're worried about your husband, you're worried about your wife, you're worried about yourself, you're worried about your job, you're worried about the economy or whatever it is that you're worried about, that you're concerned about, that you're anxious about. God says, stop, 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 stop. Because you're putting stress on yourself. You're putting stress on yourself that you don't even have to put on yourself. And how many times do we do that? How many times have we done that? We stress ourselves out. We carry stuff around. Whether we carry it on our shoulder, carry it in our heart, carry it in our stomach, carry it in our minds. God says no. One of the keys to becoming all that we are, and one of the keys to the hope and healing process, is to learn to cast. Just like a fisherman would cast his net, cast his reel and rod out into the water. God says, I need you to do that with every single thing that you're concerned about. Just cast it on me and trust me. Cast it on me. Don't come back and pick it up. Once you cast it on God, you leave it there. Cast it, leave it, walk away, knowing that He's not just able, He's more than able. He's more than able to take care of whatever it is that you have given Him. All He's waiting on is one thing. And that's, well, actually two things that He's waiting on. He's waiting on you to give it to Him. And He's waiting on you to leave it at His feet. Day 28, guys. Cast your care. Every single care. There is not a care that's too big or a care that's too small that God isn't concerned about. Because you know what? God says, I am concerned about whatever it is that you're concerned about. Whatever you're concerned about, God is concerned about. And whatever that concern is, it is better placed in His hands. Because He was built. He was built. He is built for everything. He's built to carry it all. And He has no problem with carrying it all. It's not a burden to Him. It's not a burden to Him. He wants you released. He wants you free. So that you can love your husband. So that you can love your wife. Listen, so that you can love yourself the way that you need to be loved. The way that He designed for you to be loved, honored and respected and understood. So that you can have the marriage and the family that you desire and that God desires. Cast every care on Him. He cares for you. He wants it all. But you've got to give it to Him. Guys, I love you, and I will see you back on day 29.